Konnichiwa everybody, and welcome to my view of the Japanese Grand Prix, the home Grand Prix of Yuki Tsunoda and the Honda Power Unit, because it's the Honda test track. And for the first time, the Japanese Grand Prix started so early in the season, and it was only months away from the last one. And how weird to have it start so early, but a good reason too, because it gives us a good opportunity to see the cherry blossom in the trees. And let's get on with the overview. Let's start with Logan Sargent in practice 1, where he crashed out turn 7 and all he broke was the front and the rear wing. And does that mean he'll stay at the sidelines and let Alex Albon race by himself? Nope, he gets to take part in the Grand Prix, but sadly he didn't do very well because on one of the laps he went off the track and he came back on very dangerously, and I don't know why he reversed on track and stopped, because that is not a safe place to do it, especially on a very fast corner. And what I would do is just reverse and turn onto the side of the racetrack and then move forward and then go on the racetrack where I'm moving, because that's exactly what I could have done. But Logan Sargent, well, if he didn't get a penalty for that, I don't think there ever was a penalty for Logan Sargent, but I feel like there could have been one if he did that again. But what about Alex Albon? Did he stay in the race and not crash out? Nope, because he crashed out and it wasn't much his fault. He was squeezed off by Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think he saw him on lap 1, and both of them had a very nasty impact that broke the barrier and the tyres were everywhere, but both drivers were alright, including the marshals from behind. So it's good to see them both okay, but can you imagine how much money it'll cost them with all the damages for Williams? I bet James is going to feel really annoyed, and I can imagine the stress he's feeling. Like, how is he going to survive with the team for the whole season where Logan Sargent and Alex Albon keep crashing out? Ouch. And here's another important question. Have the Stake F1 team or Kick Sauber been able to sort out their pit stop problems? Nope, it's happened again, and this time it was not too bad. It was only 17 seconds, the pit stop, and how could this keep happening to the team 4 times in a row? Well, 5 really, because Guan Yu Zhou and Bottas had the exact same problem together at the Australian Grand Prix. I mean, 5 times! Terribly slow pit stops? What is going on? Looks like they got a very nasty wheel nut that keeps causing them problems. I think we have to call that the nasty wheel nut curse. And were there some exciting battles up front? Well, Charles Leclerc did a pretty bad qualified P8, but he finished the race in P4, only behind his teammate Carlos Sainz, who's beaten him for the 3rd time in a row. And once again, Carlos Sainz on the podium for the 3rd time in a row. But what's good about Charles Leclerc, he's always stayed in the points through every race of the season at the moment. And of course, there was only 4, but not many of the other drivers have achieved that, like Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Max Verstappen. I mean, that is quite impressive for Charles Leclerc in a Ferrari, finishing all the points in 4 races. I mean, last year in the first 3 races he only scored 6 points, so that is a pretty impressive start of the season for Charles Leclerc. And Lando Norris had a very disappointing weekend. He was hoping for a podium but can only be P5, which is not too bad. But sadly the Ferraris were just too quick for him. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, they did a great job. And Oscar Piastri, well, he was P8 and all he beat in was one Mercedes, and all the other top teams, well, beaten him. But anyway, all cars and all drivers, we all have ups and downs, but still, at least they did a not bad job for finishing P8 and P5, so that is 14 points for their Constructors' Championship. But on the plus side, they did better than Aston Martin and Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, P9, and he's only scored 10 points in the last 4 races. I mean, what has happened to Lewis Hamilton? This is the lowest point score he's had in his career. He normally is much higher than that. And he's already sitting close of getting knocked out of the top 10. And I don't know what's happened with Hamilton, but he is having a very bad start of the season. And this is his worst start of the season in his career. And George Russell, well, he's doing better. He's got, well, in the Drivers' Championship, 24 points. And he's finished P7 in the Japanese Grand Prix. So well done to him. And I think Toto Wolff is going to be smacking that table thinking, why am I so far behind Red Bull and Mercedes? And I think Lewis Hamilton's going to say, where's the pace coming from, man? And it was Max Verstappen who wins the Grand Prix for the third time this season and for the third time in a row at the Japanese Grand Prix, all the way back to 2022. God,
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
But anyway, let's get to the rest of the results. And it was Sergio Perez, another dominating result for him, proving that he's good enough to keep that Red Bull seat for 2025. And the question is, where will Carlos Sainz be? Because he's proved a lot to Ferrari that he has beaten Charles Leclerc 3 times in a row, and he's finished P3 this Grand Prix. I wonder if Mercedes or, well, Aston Martin might employ him if they can ask Stroll to sit out and let Carlos Sainz have the seat. But anyway, let's get to the rest. And it was Charles Leclerc in P4, Lando Norris in P5, Fernando Alonso, a good result for him for Aston Martin, in P6. Then it's George Russell in P7, P8, Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton P9. And this is a big moment for Japan because Yuki Tsunoda has scored points at his home race. And it may be 1 point, but it feels like a race victory for RB because they're one of the teams that have been struggling for points because all the other back teams, they are much slower than the top teams like Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren and Aston Martin, and it's very tricky for those other teams to try and get in the points. And what an effort for Yuki Tsunoda for getting to the points twice in a row. Well done, Yuki Tsunoda. And I was hoping for him to be driver of the day, but instead it was Charles Leclerc. But I think we have to agree that it has to be Yuki Tsunoda for driver of the day. Don't you agree? And that's it for my review of the Japanese Grand Prix, and what a great race it was. Seeing Yuki Tsunoda having points at his home race, that would bring a big cheer to the crowd. Max Verstappen winning the Grand Prix as always, and Carlos Sainz still getting podiums and proving that he's good enough to have a seat in Formula 1. But the question is, where's he going to be? Well, we just have to wait and see. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and don't forget to check out my other accounts on the side, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. See you next time.